on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening, as you do every day, to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Brought to you by BetMGM.
The tremendous football Thursday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and you here on Westwood One Sports. Odyssey Sports NFL insider Brian Baldinger coming up later this hour. My friend Sal Licata, great New York sports personality, next hour to talk about John Harbaugh as the next head coach of the New York Football Giants. And that's where we spent basically the entire first hour of the show. As a lifelong fan of the New York Football Giants, I am over the moon with this hire. John Harbaugh going to coach Big Blue. I think he's going to take my favorite team, my childhood team, out of the wilderness, being a doormat, and back to respectability. We'll get to that with Sal Licata coming up next hour on the show. But I am seriously excited right now to welcome to the program friend of the show, on video, and what a treat this is, legendary play-by-play broadcaster, Sean McDonough. And I say this, Sean, every time you come on the air, I always promote like the social handles for our guests. You are not on social media, which makes you the smartest person in the room because social media sucks. How's it going, my man? Happy New Year and a sincere congratulations. Coming off an unbelievable run of amazing calls of these game broadcasts in the college football playoff. How's it going?
Oh, it's going well. I share your excitement about John Harbaugh, by the way. He's one of my best friends. I've talked to him a lot in the last few days, and he's the best, and you should be excited. A Big Blue Nation should all be excited. He's going to do a great job. There's a reason why, pretty much every team out there that had a vacancy was talking to him, and so I'm happy for him and for Ingrid. If, in fact, I don't know if all the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, but I assume that's a formality. And I'm doing well. Thank you. Very excited. It's been a great college football season. The playoffs been awesome. And sitting here as we chat, getting ready for the national championship game on ESPN Radio with my charts in front of me.
I absolutely love that. And we'll get to that in a second. But I should be fired if I don't follow up and ask you about this. Is there anything that you can share? And I'm not looking for a gotcha question at all. Is there anything you can share from your conversations with John Harbaugh leading up to him getting hired by the New York Football Giants? Like, it's been reported that he loves Jackson Dart. I'm sure that's true. Wouldn't have taken the job otherwise. Anything that you feel like you can share here that doesn't betray anything from your relationship with John Harbaugh leading up to him getting hired? You said you've spoken to him a bunch recently.
Yeah, I think all the things you would probably expect, right? And that he's going to say he liked the people. John's first and foremost a people person. I think he's a great culture builder, and he'll do that in New York. He likes the ownership. I think he was impressed by all the other people in the building that he talked to. He does have a positive opinion of Jackson Dart. And, I think he has a chance to win. May not be immediately, but I think he's optimistic that they can win sooner rather than later. So, it checked all the boxes for him. I think, they were pretty direct from the very beginning about how much they appreciated him, wanted to be their coach. Not that the others weren't, but I think they were probably the most aggressive in that regard.
I love it. I kind of can't believe that it actually happened. And like you said, I don't think the deal's been signed yet, but by all the accounts from all the insiders, it is a fait accompli. It will happen that John Harbaugh will be the next head coach.
It's been reported he was in the building all day yesterday, which he was. I have not talked to him since he entered the building yesterday. So some of what I'm saying is probably just based on my own surmising. But, it sounds like it's going to happen. If Adam Schefter reports it, I book it. That's basically the way.
Absolutely. And I told the story to start the show. My daughter is 20 months old. She's teething right now. I was in bed a little early last night. She's up, mommy. She doesn't want daddy. She wants mommy. And I look at my phone in the middle of the night and I see that tweet and I'm like, you know what? Like, I need to go back to sleep right now because if I start thinking about this, I'm going to be up all night. So that was my experience with the Adam Schefter tweet coming up overnight. I'd like to, if it's okay with you, I want to pay you what I think is a tremendous compliment and ask you what may be a ridiculous question. So
Sure.
I actually have chills. I love this stuff. I think you know that from our interactions. Your call of Ole Miss, Georgia, like you and Greg, you took what was already just a tremendous sporting event, like a great game, and you took it to the next level, like with your call of the game and your energy and your enthusiasm. And you are completing, and you've done this for a long time, right? So this is where this may be the ridiculous question, right? You are completing what I consider to be just like an unbelievable string of A++ calls of these gigantic college football playoff games. And obviously still have the national championship game on radio coming up on Monday night. Do you feel like this is like the best? And that's what this may be ridiculous because you've done this a long time. You've done a lot of huge games. Do you feel like you're like at the height of your powers right now? Because I kind of feel that. I kind of feel like it's been like unbelievable, through the roof great.
Thank you. First of all, I appreciate that. We've been really lucky. A lot of times that's what it is, over the course of a football season. Some seasons you get nothing but great games. Other seasons, it feels like every week it's 38-7 and you're trying to invent reasons to make it interesting or exciting. Not invent them. That's really when you kind of delve into the storytelling and personalizing the people. We had to do a lot of that in our last game. Obviously, the semifinal was one-sided between Indiana and Oregon, but that didn't bother me that much because I just think it gave all of us a chance to really appreciate the many layers that have gone into the greatness of Indiana and all the greatness of the individuals who are responsible for it, like Kurt Signetti and his staff and Fernando Mendoza and all these other terrific players. So I do feel like this is, I get uncomfortable talking about myself, but give an honest answer to your question, I do think I'm doing this as well as I've ever done. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just a slow learner. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. I'm 63 years old. I think part of it is I've just tried to, take better care of myself. I've always been a person of faith, but I'm much deeper into my faith than I've ever been at this point in my life, and it's a wonderful thing. So I don't know if that comes into, not just being on TV or the radio, but all aspects of my life. I hope I do. I have friends of mine said, "You've never seemed happier." I'm like, well, because I never have been. So, in that game, Nick, that you mentioned, that morning, I found out I was the National Sportscaster of the Year for the first time, which is an unbelievable, it's the greatest professional honor I think you could have. And it was widely circulated because they kind of secretly recorded it, although I kind of noticed, like, why does Samantha Vanoni have her phone on me right now while Greg's talking? And then I figured it out. But, by the time that game started that same night, January 1st, that video had been seen by, I don't know, a lot of people. So there was almost the pressure of, oh, crap, people are going to be watching this tonight, and I hope it's, wow, I can see why this guy won the award.
You need an encore, right, to start 26 after winning Broadcaster of the Year in 25. Yeah.
That's the broadcast that he just did after winning this award. So there was a little bit of, I'm always intense and motivated and care. When I stop doing that, I'll stop doing it. But, I think there was almost a little extra motivation that night to make sure I was on top of my game.
Just like the human elements of this, right, where everyone can be as humble as they want to be, right? But I'm sure you have a moment during that broadcast or during any of these broadcasts where the game's awesome and you're awesome, where maybe you go to commercial break or maybe the game ends and you have a moment. Do you ever think to yourself, I'm sure you, but I just want to hear you because I love this stuff, and you just go, I nailed this. Like, this was really, 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 because how could you not feel that? Like, and I'll just say, and I'm sorry to it was just so good. The drive that Ole Miss had with like the back-to-back ridiculous Trinidad Chambliss plays, where he looked like Michael Vick 20 years ago, scrambling around making these throws. You guys met the moment perfectly. Did you have a moment during the game, after the game, and you thought like, well, I just absolutely annihilated that. I crushed it.
I think I felt like we were doing a really good job, because you mentioned Greg McElroy. I thought that was the best game he's had, and he's terrific every week. Molly McGrath, our sideline reporters were on it. The truck, it's not always that you feel like everything is in sync, but there were several times I got on the talk back where you can talk to the truck, and I just said to them, hey, way to go, or that was such a great shot, or you just kind of feel like I'm about to talk about Chambliss, and our director, Jeff Evers, already knew I was going there, and here's the shot of him as I'm starting to talk about him. That doesn't always happen in TV. So I thought collectively it was a great night for our group. I thought it was a great night to have a great night, as the old expression goes, because it was a classic game. And, just really, really proud of our group more than anything else.
And you guys were exceptional, and I think you should be proud. You better you bet Westwood One Sports on this Thursday. Nick Kostos joined, legendary play-by-play man, and the newly minted National Sportscaster of the Year for the year of our Lord 2025, the great Sean McDonough.
I'm still not processing that in real time. It's
awesome.
I smile every time somebody says it. So thank you.
And I'll say, I'm not even going to ask you this because I don't want to put you in a bad position.
Those people I heard voices coming in talking about how wonderful you are, Joe Buck and Kevin Harlan, and when those people think you deserve it, I had really nice messages from both of them, right? That's really what it's all about, right? It's social media. They like you. They don't like you. Everybody has their personal preferences. But when the people who have done this for a living for a very long time, and I think both of them have won this award, they think you deserved it. That's the most awesome part of the whole deal.
I love it. And I don't want to put you in a bed, but I'll just say this. Like, you and Greg should be calling NFL games as well. And I don't know if that will ever happen. I'm not asking you to comment on that. I'm giving my opinion that I think that would be great if ESPN and ABC would make that decision. We'll preview the national title game in a moment, but you brought up your charts, right? And I would just love for you to take our audience, kind of like pull the curtain back a little bit. Now, I'm going to make this about me for like 10 seconds. In college at Fordham, I did play-by-play for a little bit of football. And I thought basketball was decent. Football, I did a broadcast that was so bad. Like, the team was scoring a touchdown, and I was still, like, setting up the formation. I called my boss, Bob Aarons, and said, you need to take me off the broadcast and let someone else do this. But I do have some experience, like, at the most amateur level possible, putting like charts together. And, you let's say you have 100 pieces of information. Maybe you only use 7 in a game, but you want to have all of them just in case. Can you take the audience behind the scenes a little bit to what it's like preparing to do either TV or radio play-by-play of a huge
yes.
event?
Can I get up
like
for,
it.
Can I get up for 5 seconds? And
Absolutely.
For those who have video.
So, Sean, put it on. Mike, put the video on the screen here for people watching. There you go.
No,
yes.
Please don't.
Yes.
I didn't realize I can see you. I didn't realize everybody else can't see us. You don't have to do that. But yeah, I mean, I make these charts. This is the game the other day. This is Miami. You can see it. Miami and Indiana. This is the Indiana defense and the Miami offense, and that's in front of me when they have the ball, and then when they punt, it goes to the other team. I flip it over. So it's names, numbers, heights, weights, hometowns, what year they in school, and then stats. And then I write in all the other stuff that I want, stories that they told us, the mother's name, injuries, whatever it is. So you want to have it all in front of you. Most of it, you're ready. It's in your head before the game starts, and other times it's just there for a reminder. So I'm really kind of diving into that now. With this week, I have the fresh charts with nothing written on them, just the names and numbers, and then as we talk to the teams and read more and watch some more tapes, although I don't really need to watch any more tapes of these two teams because we kind of had them. And when you do the radio, Nick, it's not, the storytelling is secondary because there's not enough time. You have to describe what's happening. And it's one of the things at the beginning I always have to remind myself, you have to describe the formation and people going in motion and what, yard line it's on and what hash mark it's on and which direction they're going, which I really like. It's kind of a challenge to remember to do all those things.
And that was always kind of what I was struck by coming up in this industry, right? Was hearing a lot of play-by-play broadcasters would say radio is harder than TV for that reason, that because you can't see it, you have to explain what's happening. And I think a lot of really good play-by-play broadcasters relish that challenge of having to explain everything on radio because you can't assume that people can see like the how bright the orange is in the end zone. You have to tell them how bright the orange is in the end zone or how great this catch is along the near sideline, moving from left to right on your television screen. I think the stuff is the best. Let's get you out of here on this. And you've been on it. I love it, as I'm sure you can tell. you've been on
Yes.
with the show enough to know this is not like Sean McDonough's best bet for the game. But I like to provide the context and tell you, if you're unaware, and I'm sure you're aware of, Indiana's favorite in the game, right? In the national championship game on
Yes.
Monday night. The Hoosiers have been bet out. They're an 8.5-point favorite now in the game. So expected to win by 10 or more, basically, the betting market
Where
says.
did it start? Just out
7.
of curiosity.
7. So Indiana, a touchdown, 7.5-point favorite. So the Hoosiers have gotten bet out. 47.5 is the total. You know, you did the Miami A&M game with Greg McElroy, and obviously did the Peach Bowl with Indiana and Oregon. What are your expectations coming up on, not a best bet, but your expectations coming up on Monday night?
Yeah. It's hard to know, right? I have a lot of respect for Miami. We did the opening game of the year when they beat Notre Dame, which turned out obviously to be one of the most important games of the year in college football, because that's the game that got Miami in to the playoff, and hopefully they've ended all the controversy, if there was some, about them being in, and so lost. They kept Notre Dame out. But we walked away from that game. I said to Greg, I don't think we'll see another team this season that's as good on both lines of scrimmage as they are, as physical. You know, it's been talked about a lot, but that's how Mario Cristobal built his team and his program, on physicality. So there's that, you know, and I think it'll be a great battle at the line of scrimmage. You know, the problem, if you're Miami trying to get to Fernando Mendoza, even with great players like Bain and Mesidor, is he just gets the ball out so fast. And on the occasions when he can't, we've seen it more and more. I think it's gotten more and more attention, and Greg did a great job of spotlighting this in our game the other night. He's a good runner. He doesn't look pretty doing it. You know, he's kind of gangly when he runs, but he doesn't have a classic throwing motion either, but it's remarkably effective in both areas. So I think that's the problem for Miami. As good as they are, can they actually harass Mendoza, pressure him, and force the very rare mistakes? I mean, Indiana's lost one fumble all year, and it was on the 18th play of the season. As you know, Nick, they're not penalized. They don't turn it over. You know, they just don't beat themselves. So maybe the home field advantage will help, but after what I saw in Atlanta, it wouldn't surprise me if Indiana had 60,000 people in that stadium.
It was like an Indiana home game. That was wild.
Crazy.
Turning on the It was awesome.
Crazy. We were walking in, and it was just everywhere you look. Even in our hotel, you know, usually games like that, it's 50-50 or close to it, and the colors of the fans, but it was all crimson and cream. In fact, I think it was the first words I said in the opening of the telecast. You know, we have the establishing shot of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and 71,000 people filing in, most of them clad in crimson and cream, because they were. I mean, they just took over the entire city and building.
Was that the most striking you can remember disparity between fan bases at a huge college football game, what we saw last Friday night with Indiana and Oregon?
I have to remember, but it was, and I guess, to be fair, it's coast to coast for Oregon. It was drivable. I saw an Indiana person in a hotel, said he had driven down with his son. And I said, well, how long is that? He said, it's about 7 or 8 hours from around Indianapolis. So, it's not a horrible drive. And obviously Oregon is, on the West Coast. So it was a long trip to Atlanta. And their fans, a lot of them had gone to Miami the week before for the Orange Bowl against Texas Tech. So maybe some of them hedged their bets and said, maybe we'll wait now for the national championship game, because that's back to Miami. So I think it was a hard ask for the Oregon fans to travel like that, where, in Indiana, it's all new, right? Oh, of course we're going to go to this game. We've never been to the Rose Bowl before. We've never been to the college football semifinal, so we're going. And they have a huge alumni base. I think Kurt Signetti told us one of the reasons he took the job and thought they could make it work was that they have something like the second largest, like, a living alumni base in the country after Texas. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's what he told us.
Sig doesn't seem like the type of guy to lie.
Coaches never say anything.
Yeah, right,
they never say anything
exactly.
that's not true. You can book it.
Last one for you here. Very much appreciate the time. You're not inside his head, neither am I. And I think a lot of people were surprised yesterday when Oregon quarterback Dante Moore, and you called, it was so funny. My father-in-law was watching the game with him, and he throws the pick six on the first play of the game, and your call, and he turns to me and goes, "This guy's great," referring to you calling the play of the game, which is really funny. What was your reaction to that Dante Moore's coming? Like everyone says he's going to be a top pick in the NFL draft, coming back to Oregon for another season. What was your reaction to that in about a minute to wrap?
Yeah, I was a little surprised, just because, heading into that game, they were 1-2, he and Mendoza, in no particular order. Mel Kiper was kind of going back and forth, and some of the NFL people apparently are doing the same thing. Now, I don't know if that performance made people think maybe he's not ready and he should go back. One of the nice things now for these college kids, especially the top quarterbacks, you go back, you're going back for, millions of dollars to play another year of college football. So it's not exactly like you're passing up a payday. A lot of these guys stay in college now an extra year or two because they make more money in college than they would if they went in the draft and they were a 4th or 5th round pick on a rookie deal. So I think it's probably the right thing for him, quite frankly, from a football standpoint after watching that. In fairness to him, he didn't have a lot of help around him. All their running backs were hurt, or most of them. I think that was a big problem in the game. The offensive line didn't play very well. It wasn't just him. They ran into a juggernaut. But so after the way that game went, I wasn't as surprised. But I think if you have a chance to be like the second pick in the draft, you'd still probably go, wouldn't you? I don't know. So maybe the intel was that he wasn't going to be the second pick of the draft.
And look, you were doing the game, and like I said this to him last hour, all the New York Jets fans and all the Jets accounts were already like, "Well, Dante Moore's over." I just wonder if Moore saw any of that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pass on this right now. I'm gonna pass. That's my speculation.
You never know who might pick you next year. But if the Raiders don't pick Fernando Mendoza, they should just disband the franchise. I mean, they really should.
I said it on my Saturday morning show last Saturday morning. It felt like last Friday night with Indiana, Oregon, was the best day for the Raiders franchise since they beat the Titans in the 2002 AFC Championship game with how well Mendoza played in that game. Like, what more do you need to make that decision that this is your guy?
Crazy. I don't know. What's the number now? He's thrown, I know it's more touchdowns than incomplete passes in the 2 playoff games. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's just crazy what he's doing and what that team is doing.
I have it here, so game log here. So in the 2 playoff games, he has 5 incompletions and 8 touchdowns. I mean, it's just like this video game stuff. It's like not even real life what he's doing.
2 of the best teams in the country. I mean, 2 teams that were deemed to be 2 of the 10 best teams in the country.
And what's so fun, and what you said about Greg, and I'll get you out of here in a second, was when Mendoza would have those scrambles, you're right, like he is kind of gangly, but it does the trick. Like you blink and he's 10 yards down. He had a spin move that it looked like Michael Vick out there. It was unbelievable. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's a pretty athletic guy for 6'5" and about 230 or whatever he is. And I just love everything about it. I'd never met him in person. I've seen him interviewed, obviously, watched the Heisman speech. And you almost think, this is too good to be true.
He's like ask AI, like ChatGPT, create a quarterback. It's him. Like, he's perfect.
Yeah.
He's like in a laboratory.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be pretty close to that. And just all the other parts of it, the personality, the character, the leadership, the intelligence, the being loved by his teammates. He has all of those things too. So he's going to have a great career, and I'm happy for him because he seems like a heck of a guy and from a great family. And, their story is a great story that I'm sure will be very well told again during the championship game. The homecoming to Miami, finished his college career where he grew up. His dad played with Mario Cristobal in high school. There's so many great layers to this championship game. It's going to be a fitting ending, I think, to what's been an awesome college football season.
You're happy for him. I'm happy for you.
Oh,
2025 sports. Dude, I mean, you're exceptionally generous with your time. You're on with us for 23 minutes. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to listen to you on ESPN Radio coming up on Monday night, the call of the national championship game. Congratulations. I'm happy that you're happy, and this is the happiest time of your life, and I hope to do this again soon. Thank you very much.
Well, I hope so too, Nick. Thank you. God bless.
God bless. Sean McDonough joining us here on You Better You Bet. This is what it's all about. The show is great. He's great. I'm happy. John Harbaugh's my football coach. This is fantastic. And the good times are going to keep rolling after the break when we'll be joined by my friend, Odyssey Sports NFL Insider, the great Brian Baldinger, here on Westwood One Sports.